So I guess it's time to apply the finish. I was just thinking like, is there anything else? I can't think of anything else that is pending. So time to apply the finish. And I sometimes try other finishes like water based, like I think polyacrylic acrylic, and which is like I feel like it's doesn't have what I don't like to use is oil based finishes which look stunning, but I'm not a professional in this, so I don't want to use respirators and all. I try to use that is like less volatile thing, like chemicals and all. Shellac I know is the most traditional, so that is why my finish of choice. It's so easy to apply it. It's time taking in a way that I have to apply too many coats. I'm fine with that, but it's so easy to apply. You can't go wrong with that, and any mistake you just again put another coat. It dissolves in alcohol, so I tend to go towards that unless it is a dining table or something like that where I have to go with a more like a resilient finish. For this one I have already decided it's going to be shellac, and looks great. So I'll start with sanding. So let me bring my sandpaper. And also, like, usually I don't bother like going through grits of sanding. I'm sure I'm like that will be really good, but I feel like I really don't need that, because especially because these are hand planed, this is already smooth, like more smooth than I can get with sandpaper. So purpose is not to like make it smooth, but to abrade it. And then if there are like slight I mean smooth but unevenness due to like inaccuracies with planing, sandpaper like probably makes it little bit more uniform in that way, not necessarily smooth, but I don't think that's my goal also, because I don't think there are any undulations. Whatever are there, it's because of my hand planing. So I don't intend to fix that, or so I'm just trying to abrade it and make it to get it ready for this thing. And if there are any glue marks or anything which I have tried to remove through plane and scraper, I may come back with that. So I have like I just use hand sanding. I have a orbital sander which I never used unless it is like a deck project or a very huge project. So any block of wood will work, but I had once like invested in this cheap like sanding block, so I will just use that. And that's it. I'll try with the grain. And I'll try to take off corners. I will feel everywhere, wherever like I feel like. Let me take the camera a little bit down. So anywhere like I feel anything like sharp or anything, I will try to ease off that with sandpaper. Just trying to feel with hand, that's good enough for me. And by the way, not sure, like may have realized through the videos that I don't have too much space here, like so I don't think I can work on the finish on all of the components. This is basically the space I have, and this I have a car in my garage, so that's about it. I cannot keep my car outside also, so I will probably like work on sections. So I've decided I will go with this top section and the two drawers. Maybe after that I will go towards that. I will definitely show the eventual project, but whatever I can do, I'm just trying to work in like phases. Just making sure this is well supported. So when I'm doing this, I'm also trying to check if there are like anything I can feel with my hands or glue spot or anything. Let me take the drawers out, because I'll probably have to take the knobs off before like sanding. These are small sections where I cannot like it's difficult to go across this way. I still try to resist going across grain, so I'll just use like with my hand and try to get as much I can. It's a 220 grit, by the way, that I am using. So yeah, now I'm trying to make sure I ease all these corners. I'm not trying to fully round it. There was a chip here, so I am taking a little bit more, and again I'm trying to keep it uniform. I don't want it to be fully rounded. I like the look of sharp corners, but they do tend to fracture, or they are not too comfortable to like feel. So anywhere my hand touches, I want to feel it like super smooth. This is the back side. Still I ensure this is like feels good to the hands, because I may be like someone may be picking up the unit or like moving by holding it. Like I don't want anything to be like feel uncomfortable or anything like that. By the way, I'm always confused whether I should apply finish on the underside or not. I just try to play it safe, and I apply not as many coats, but maybe like 2 coats of shellac or something. As I understand, like it's usually recommended to like apply finish on both sides to have like uniform rate of absorption, so reduces the chances of warping. So yeah, especially on tabletop, because it's free floating, so we don't want it to warp. It won't warp unless like it's in an environment where there is too much of change. So someone's room may be closer to the, say, the bathroom or something, where I don't know, maybe more chances of like moisture or humidity variance. Again, I'm just saying this should not there should not be any warping really. And I don't mind occasional here and there pencil marks, not too much, but little bit. I don't like try too hard to fix those. That's something like tells how it was made. Trying to look for my eraser. There is a big like a pencil mark like with some numberings and all. I wanted to get rid of that. Yeah, too many marks or something I do want to get rid of. And these corners I don't want to break too much, just 2 swipes of sandpaper, because these like the I want to keep that crisp so that it looks like well aligned with the drawers. So, but the inside part I can ease it. Like I don't think anyone is going to put the hands inside to feel, but they may do so also. A good idea to ease those. That's it. And this underside, as I said, I will put a couple of coats of finish. So I will still sand it to make it like finish ready, or like very little sanding, like, because it doesn't matter if there are like blotches or anything on this one. It's just purely for the process. That's it. I don't want to do anything more than that. And this mild hand sanding, if it works for me, and it has worked for me so well, I want to like establish a simplistic process, like not complicate things where, like on these aspects at least, like where it is not really needed, or I feel it is not needed. And these are like sharp edges. I want to keep it relatively sharp, but still like that feels good to the hand. These are underside of the drawer. I can round those little bit more without worry. I will not be sanding the plywood part. Even I probably will be applying again 2 coats of finish on the inside, just because that shows up. And whatever I can see, I try to remove the face mark. I mean, sometimes I would want to keep that, because not everyone puts that, like especially if you are working with machine, because you always, like with machine, you are guaranteed to get like S4S, I hope. So no point why you would mark those. And I will put the sanding coat and like use this same sandpaper to de-nib that, because we don't need too strong like grit sandpaper for to de-nib after the sanding coat. That's it. I'm just feeling everywhere with my hands. This side maybe crisp. I mean, if the edges are crisp, it actually, frankly speaking, it looks better, but more likely that's going to break off. So, by the way, this side, like the ash, this is like very straight grained. I had a piece of like ash that I used for this side. You can see like it's very wiry grain, and it gave me a tough time, but glad I was able to use that for this. I start with the underside usually, so that I can keep it on its back then after that. So I will do the same. The shellac, it cannot go wrong. So that's why like I'm not thinking too much. Across grain, and then I will pull it like from wet edge to wet edge. And this is the sanding coat. That's just a process, but not really necessary for the sanding coat. And this I have like diluted, like adding more denatured alcohol into that. Especially on the initial coats, it's first coat and second coat, it's better to dilute it more. But I will probably like dilute it like throughout. Just that you may have to spend more time, but it's more forgiving. One thing I like to do just for my sake is I do write my name and date. It's the underside, so it will stay there. It's a memory. Should I do the, let me do the end grains while it is drying. These tend to absorb more, just the property of wood. So the end grain absorbs more water, more finish. Same on the other side. By the way, why I use cherry? Like, obviously this is the project that I'm recording, and I have used cherry as the hardwood. But most of my home projects, like furniture projects, by bedside cabinet and all, I have used cherry. The primary reason being, out of the like premium hardwood, this is the cheapest I can get around here. So that's the reason, and this is very good to work with. Looks amazing. I mean, I could have like tried oak, but oak is like here in 3 times more expensive. So I mean, I can't afford that. I have built a furniture using walnut, but yeah, after that, like I decided the whole furniture like using walnut, probably it's beyond my reach. I should not be doing that. So here also I'm starting with the end grain. It does take less, absorb less as and when we add up the finish, because it start to seal those points, and then it won't take as much. But first 2 coats, at least like 2 or 3 coats, 2 coats, it's going to absorb a lot. And after this first coat, the reason we as I understand, like we do the sanding is because this makes the grain rise. So there are like some raised points or like roughness that it does bring in, so which we want to sand off. But after the first coat, the sanding coat, the grain won't rise as any longer, so not needed to keep doing that. I mean, there are some other finishes where you have to sand between every coat. Not at all needed for shellac. I've never done that, and it has worked just fine. This finish, I think I will be applying over next few days. It doesn't need that much time, but I have to take breaks. I have other work, and also I will come back, apply a finish, go back. Like whenever I have time back again, I come back for a few minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, keep doing that. I'll take my own time. I can see this side end grain is all like, seems like almost dry now. So dry and looks like it's asking for more. Yeah, I cannot reach underneath, so I will just leave it at that. I cannot see the underneath. I'm just guessing and putting the finish. it's dripping from my hand, so I have to be cautious about that in my subsequent coats, or like that towards the end. Even if I'm into hand tools, I appreciate the value plywood brings to the table. MDF, like I know with industrialization that it's needed. I'm not a big fan of that. I am going to apply on the inside part of the plywood because it's clearly visible to the eye. Someone could be keeping some valuable clothes or something like so having a finish and then or applying the wax at the end makes you feel good. By the way, the big drawer, I don't like the quality of the plywood. That's the only thing I had. I may replace that with I'll see how this unit is being used, because my son, my 5-year-old, he has already told me a few times that he's going to use it to keep his toys. So depending on the how rough it is used, I'll see if I need to upgrade that plywood or not. This is the fun part. Hopefully it comes up. This is the part I love. It looks amazing. So applying shellac, especially shellac or any finish, but especially shellac when I apply on dovetails. Here I have contrasting grain, even if it is the same species, it's so satisfying. Pour some of these into it without making a mess of it. That's it. I like diluting it with just little bit of dilution, not little bit, I almost put 1/3 to a 1/3 amount there. So I'll keep it aside somewhere. I mean, for now I can keep it on top of this because I don't mind a little bit of blotching there, but eventually I'll have to make some arrangements. So again, I start with the underside. My 5-year-old wants to apply finish because he likes art and craft finishes, painting, drawing and all. So he thinks it is in the same way. I would obviously I'm not going to allow him to do that because it has denatured alcohol. But compared to many finishes, I would be less concerned with this one. Under my guidance, if he wants to do without plunging his nose into this, I think I would not mind. But I will let him grow up a little bit. There is something about Sapele, when I apply the finish, the grain, I love it so much. Dare I say, it sometimes looks even more stunning than walnut to me. And considering it is cheaper than walnut, I'm getting inclined to buy this. Walnut, I guess, is more easier grain to work with. Sapele, as I keep saying, sometimes as long as the grain is working in your favor, it is a joy to work. Then all of a sudden, you feel what happened there. Really what I'm trying to say is that it's overall actually a very good species, looks, and because sometimes it is unpredictable, not always, it's actually a good way to practice also, I think. because if it is like popular or something, you would not probably know like how to understand grain and all. So did I apply it on the underside? Yes, I did. Yes, that's my first coat. I will leave it at that on these pieces. And then I will come back. Just wanted to show like what I tell about Sapele. Really love it. Dovetails. I'll keep this brush inside like this, otherwise it will just become hard. If it becomes hard by any chance, like dries up, putting it in denatured alcohol for a few minutes, like we'll loosen it, few 10-15 minutes probably. But since I'm going to use it now for a few days, I'll come back after maybe a couple of hours tonight, maybe tomorrow, depending on my work schedule. See you then.